Hey everyone, today's drop features Alex, lead researcher at Barter. Barter provides DeFi trading infrastructure that sits between wallets, front ends, and on chain liquidity. It's not a typical DEX, it's an intent based smart router for swaps, and the second largest routing engine on Ethereum, and top solver on CowSwap. Welcome, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Edward. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Alex. I'm researcher at Barter. You can find us on X using username Barter DeFi or tap into our site using barterswap.xyz. Yep, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for your time. And actually, it's fantastic that we're doing this finally. Barter uses the Portals API, a load of our data from our API, millions of calls, in fact. And yeah, Portals helps Barter price and handle long tail assets. So hopefully we can learn all about what happens under the hood and how all this ecosystem links together. So to kick off, perhaps you could give us a bit of information about what Barter does in simple terms. Are you a DEX? Are you a router, a solver, or something entirely different?
Yep, definitely. So Barter is actually the largest solver on CowSwap and one of the largest DEX routers on Ethereum in general. Uh, yep, we joined CowSwap, among the very first solvers, and we here at CowSwap, from the very beginning. So, yeah, what is a solver? Solver is basically, kind of mix between DEX aggregator, MEV bot, and market maker. So what we are doing is basically being, a counterparty between a trader and all possible liquidity sources you can find on chain and even off chain. So, yeah, we maintain swaps across, many order flow venues, including CowSwap, 1inch Fusion, Uniswap X, recently launched Matcha Meta Aggregator, some others Meta Aggregator. So, yep, we're one of the solver who is connected, to all major sources. Yep, you can also, we also have our own swap API. It's, very easy to plug in. It's very similar to all general accepted APIs by all other aggregators. And you might already trade with Barter even outside intent venues. I mean, if you're swapping on Debridge or Contanga, you can use Barter under the hood.
Awesome. We'll get deeper into that now. But if anyone was to land on your website or do a little digging around, the numbers really speak for themselves, right? 33 billion volume, 561,000 transactions, 100,000 unique wallets, 50 million in average daily volume, 33,000 unique tokens. I mean, I could go on, but this growth is amazing, really, and that comes with trust. Okay, and trust really comes from having the best prices and the best slippage costs. So Barter has become one of the leading routing engines, clearly. Okay, and one of the leaders in CowSwap solvers, as you've just mentioned. Billions routed in volume. But what do you think you do differently, both technically and strategically, to get that level of execution quality?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for mentioning our numbers. We're really proud of them. And yeah, if we're talking about our advantage, uh, I'd say we have a really brilliant tech team. We have a brilliant algorithm lead, backend lead, our CTO, etc. I mean, from the day one, we're trying to build, extremely compatible router algorithm. We're trying, to build our system as scalable as possible. And it's actually no big difference from many other solvers who is, trying to build some MVP just to earn some rewards from CowSwap or maybe some other solvers. So from day one, we were building, to scale the system. And probably the harder things that every solver and every aggregator are doing is constantly integrating, all of liquidity sources. I mean, as a solver, we integrated maybe 20, 30, or even 40, DEXs, RFQs, some other liquidity sources. And we're constantly, expanding this list of accessible protocols. A lot of teams building some new decks, some new primitives, constantly coming to us and asking, from support from day zero. Because, for decks, it's extremely important to receive some significant order flow from day one. Because if you don't have order flow, you won't be able, to bootstrap some liquidity. And we are basically now helping a lot of teams to bootstrap liquidity, from day one, because Solver eliminate the need, of your own users. If you can provide some good pricings, we'll use you. Yep, and that's really cool. And there's a lot of work behind that, behind integration of all of new venues, because uh, I'd say over the last year, a lot of new mathematical models, a lot of very new dexes are come into play. You could say you can think about fluid, Euler swap. They're using pretty complex invariants, and it's really hard to maintain it. But we're doing it constantly and as soon as possible.
Yeah, and like you said at the beginning there, you're building to scale. From the very first day, you're building
Yep.
everything to scale. It's giving you a really big edge. So every time the market changes, a new player comes along, you guys can just add another component onto your existing layers as well. So I guess
Yep.
that's
And
one of the
I just
secrets to your success.
yeah, definitely. And I just want to add that swapping is a very important activity in DeFi, and we're expecting swaps volume will increase dramatically over the next years. Calls, you can see you can take a look on maybe RWAs and some others. A lot of assets coming on chain, and all of these assets have to be traded. They need some counterparty who will trade it, and it requires really good scalability and compatibility of the solvers of the routing systems, and we built for that from the day zero. Yeah.
Mm. No, interesting. And yeah, everything that does come on chain has to be traded, right?
Yep.
In your docs, actually, you mentioned that most users pay a hidden tax, right? Um, and this hidden tax in DeFi, it sort of occurs every time they hit the swap button. But what are the main sources of that hidden tax today, and where does Barter actually step in to reduce it?
There's basically two main sources of hidden tax. So first of all, traders who use cow swap, who use maybe some other index or regular DEX aggregators, they're so-called uninformed flow. So very really often they even don't know the real fair price of the assets they're trading. So all they will just want to receive a maximum amount of output tokens, and they can really don't know fair price or maybe how they should execute their transaction in order to receive maximum output. Because there's a lot of dexes, and if you take a look at maybe the most popular pairs, for example, if USDC, there's dozens of pools on chain with a unique rate at each pool. And yeah, first of all, we're doing aggregation, so user don't really need go to every single dex trying to split his order, trying to find some inefficiencies, and he really don't need to care about a fair price or everything. We'll just provide him the best possible rate at this current moment. Yeah, and the second and probably one of the most important source of hidden tax is of course MEV, because uh, even if you find some arbitrage opportunity to execute your trade, you still have to land this transaction, and you have to, in order to capture this arbitrage opportunity, you have to land this transaction in the very specific as close to the top of this block as possible. And, as a solver, we also handle this part. So with Barter, with CowSwap, you don't really need, to care about landing transaction, how to land your transaction on chain. You basically just give us approval, give your order, minimum price, and that's all. I mean, we'll, broadcast your transaction by ourselves to all builders and ensure that you'll capture this arbitrage opportunity. And in the end, you finally, you'll finally receive the best possible rate.
And it's highly competitive out there. You've got all these builders hunting those deals, right? And a lot of people still think only about AMMs like Uniswap and Curve when they hear the word liquidity, right? You've written about private liquidity and RFQs as an underexplored layer on Ethereum. What is what is private liquidity in your view, and why is it becoming more important?
Yeah, yeah. When did drop, I'd say a pretty good piece about private liquidity, and actually it was inspired by by the hype of proprietary MEMS on Solana. I mean, a few months ago, every every person on crypto Twitter was talking about prop MMs, or how should we, move prop MMs to Ethereum, because a reminder that now, more than 50% of all order flow in Solana are captured by proprietary MEMS. So it's basically professional market makers who market make on their own, using their own assets. Yep. And now everybody was talking about it. How should we build, proper MEMS on Ethereum, on EVM? And we just want to say, hey guys, we have the very similar features called the very similar feature called RFQ, and it was here for years, maybe from 2020 or even earlier. And yeah, RFQ basically, what is it RFQ? And the main difference between AMM is AMM basically calculate all of the rates of on chain, while RFQ on the other hand run by professional market makers like Wintermute, like Symbolic Capital Partners, Empire, some others, and they're basically pricing assets off chain and do it in a much higher frequency than AMMs. Yep. And now there's a lot of liquidity. I mean, on CowSwap, probably 40% of all overflow on CowSwap executed using this private liquidity. Yep. So for us, private liquidity is just some sort of liquidity which is don't which you can generally access. I mean, you have to have some specific maybe relationships with the team, or you have to be whitelisted in order to use this liquidity, and that's a very big advantage of intent-based systems, because they're bringing this private liquidity, this professional market makers liquidity to regular users. So yep, swapping on CowSwap with Barter, you can use you can tap into Wintermute liquidity, you can tap into native liquidity and some other liquidity sources. And we also see, it's a clear direction that, DEX aggregators, solvers, it's extremely compatible environment and competitive environment. Yep. And many teams, now are trying to introduce their own liquidity products, which will be accessible only for this router. For example, you can take a look at Kyber. They already have their own RFQ system accessible only via Kyber router, and they already have their own Uniswap V4 hooks, and also only Kyber router can tap into this liquidity. So basically, what's happening now is aggregators basically trying to prioritize their order flow by creating these exclusive liquidity venues. Yep. So this is that's I'd say that's all form of private liquidity. It's basically private pools and RFQs. Yeah.
But what I'm starting to sense is that liquidity in general needs structuring. And I've been saving this because it's big. So I'm going to talk about superposition. Can you explain what superposition is and what problem it solves that normal aggregators and routers cannot?
Yeah. I really want to say that first of all, superposition is now trying to solve a lot of problems. Yep. And the main probably difference from is it's important to mention that Barter is a solver. We are solver, DEX router, and we used to be focused, only on the trading side, and essentially, every aggregator, every solver is focused only on the trader side. I mean, you have solvers, you have aggregators, to improve trading execution for a trader. But on the liquidity side, you don't really have, some sort of liquidity solvers that will help you, maximize your APY or trying, to restructure how you provide liquidity. Yep, and that's when superposition, comes into play. So I'd say the main problem with with liquidity provide, not a main problem actually, but how you provide liquidity now is basically you have to lock your tokens into some contract. Let's say Uniswap or maybe Curve, some others. So you have to find profitable pool. Then you have to set up some really complex parameters like liquidity concentration, maybe fee tier, maybe some others. Then you have to deposit your funds, constantly monitor this position. And then if you want to, withdraw your assets and use it, you have, to do withdrawal, and there are, a lot of extra steps. What we're trying to achieve with Superposition is enabling liquidity provision directly from your wallet. So we're basically remove, the deposit and withdrawal step from the classical workflow. So all I need to do with Superposition is just grant us token approval to use your tokens directly from your wallet. And every time when we'll, see a profitable opportunity for you, for a maker, to use your, liquidity for, I don't know, fulfill a swap from cow swap, we'll use it. And you really don't need to care about, some complex liquidity parameters to selecting, the most profitable curve or protocol. We'll handle all of these, on your behalf. All you need to do is just, prove some, for example, stable coins. Let's say you hold USDC and don't really care, are you holding USDC or USDT? You trust both stables. You can just approve USDC and USDT. And for example, every time when we'll find a profitable trade, from USDC to a bit greater amount of USDT, we'll do it directly from your wallet instead of going, to AMMs, to RFQs or some others. So yeah, with Superposition, we're also, trying to some sort, uh, democratizing, RFQ flow. Because now RFQs are accessible only for professional player, for professional market players, for market makers. With Superposition, we try to bring this concept to every LP. So every LP, should have access to this type, of pricings, basically. Yeah.
It sounds incredibly versatile, and I'm sure we're all going to see it roll out in quite an impactful way over the coming weeks and months. I was actually looking in your research papers and on particularly on your research on stable swaps and superposition, and you outlined some pretty compelling APY estimates if this model takes off. What are the key design choices that make those yields possible, and where do those returns actually come from in practice?
Yeah, but in order to actually answer this question, uh, we have to, step back for a second and look into how MMs operate now. So the main problem with most MMs now is that they're actually now vulnerable to adverse selection. So this means that MMs always execute trades at the internal price, even if it differs significantly from the fair price on Binance or some external sources. And in general, they cannot refuse, to execute the trade at this specific price, at this specific moment, even, if this trade is unprofitable for LPs. And this problem also is so-called loss versus rebalancing. Yep. And private market makers and RFQs, proprietary MEMS and Solana, they don't have this problem because they're pricing assets off chain and then just push some quotes or updates on chain. So they know the exact fair price, and they're active players. They can refuse to execute this trade if this trade is unprofitable for user. And think for a minute, on how you execute trades on CowSwap, for example. So swapping is it's a zero-sum game, and every time you're receiving, more than you expecting, when you're receiving some positive slippage or maybe some surplus on your output tokens, that basically means that some liquidity provider on Uniswap, maybe on some other DEX, actually loses money because you receive more. And how we're trying to solve this with Superposition is basically we structure Superposition as a more like, RFQ decks, like a Bebop, Hashflow, native, rather than, fully IMM decks. So in every block, in every moment, we're calculating, the fair price of assets on chain, off chain, and then, try to include this quote into actual road on chain. So that's the main advantage. I mean, we're basically doing what professional market makers do, but you don't have, to dig into it. You don't have to, select a lot of complex parameters to maintain the position. So we basically give to users, really really complex and I'd say fair pricings of their liquidity. Yeah.
So So there's always a trade-off. How do you think about the trade-off between using public AMM liquidity, RFQ market makers, and new forms of so-called embedded or wallet level liquidity like superposition? Is there a mental model you use for deciding what kind of liquidity is best for a given trade?
Yeah. So first of all, in order to be efficient, any solver or router must be, unbiased towards the source of liquidity he's going to use. So from a solver perspective or router, doesn't matter. It doesn't care really about the exact DEX which will be used or where the liquidity comes from. So you know, Solver just, looks at the different DEXs, sees the prices, and then selects the best one. So the best way to do it, to find this, is actually to find the balance between public AMMs, RFQs liquidity, and maybe some, private liquidity, including superposition. Yeah. So by launching superposition, we don't impose our traders. On the contrary, we, provide even better rates while maintaining profitability for our LPs. Yep. So yeah, summarizing, solver or router don't really, have to be unbiased towards, the exact source of liquidity. Good router or good solver really care only about the swap rate. So taker always receive the best possible price on chain. Yeah.
But from a builder perspective, so if I'm a wallet or an aggregator or a DeFi app, what does integrating Barter or superposition actually look like then? Like, we've gone through all the internals, but what do I get beyond just better prices, and how do you measure the value, let's say, that you bring to integrators?
Uh, yep. So integrating, I mean, there's no 2 points. Integrating Barter as a router, you basically receive that. You basically receiving our router engine, and I'd say it's pretty much about the better pricings. So yep. But integrating Barter router, you also integrate all of liquidity connected to our router. So it's basically all major and even minor DEX on Ethereum, on all RFQs, all private liquidity sources, and and superposition, because only Barter router for now can tap into superposition's liquidity. And if you're integrating superposition, it's a bit different game, and it's more about liquidity provider. So we basically envision superposition as kind of, let's say, savings account. So what we trying to achieve with superposition, we're trying to turn any user's wallet from a spending account to savings account. So and we really think it's really interesting for wallets, especially because if you'll take a look, at the current landscape, every D app, let's say Avi, Uniswap, some others, they're basically extracting funds away, from wallets to some smart contracts or, smart contracts basically, yeah. But with superposition, you can still, hold all of your stables, all of your assets within your wallet, while earning some yield and maintaining, ability to spend it everywhere you want. I mean, you can buy, some meme coin with your stables. You can, go to the shop and buy some coffee, and you don't have any lockups. I mean, it's superposition is a really wallet native liquidity source, and we really like this idea, as turning wallet into a savings account. That's the main advantage of superposition over any other protocol now existing in the market.
And you said at the beginning that only Barter has access.
Yeah,
It
I
will
mean,
will that always remain the case?
uh, at the beginning, yes, and here's actually, we have to find some balance, between benefits for barter, because, obviously, solver's market is, extremely, competitive, and margins are really tight. And by having our own exclusive liquidity source, we're basically able to generate, much more profits, much more APYs for our LPs, for our maybe some future token holders, etc. Yeah, but at the same moment, for LPs, obviously it's, the more it flows, the better. And we have to find, some balance here. But in the first version, we also, you know, will keep maintain this exclusive for barter, because for some security reasons, because basically Superposition have access to users' wallet, because you're granting infinity token approval. And, we really want to shield our users, our LPs, from some maybe toxic order flow, maybe from some MV bots, some malicious behavior. So, both for security reasons, in the first version at least, only Barter will have access to Superposition. Yeah. I
Is it
mean,
okay?
yeah, security is, our top priority.
Well, that's been an incredible journey into the internals of Superposition. I'm just going to touch a bit on decentralization and performance, but because there's always a tension between performance and decentralization. Solvers, RFQs, private liquidity, off-chain routing, centralized infra, all of that. It can look scary to purists. How do you think about the balance in Barter's architecture then, looking at all of those?
Yeah, that's a great question because as I mentioned, superposition is it's kind of centralized in the first version because we are basically we did it on purpose because we're calculating rates off chain in order to provide better API for our LPs. Uh, and by doing this, we also can. I just want to say that in further versions, one of our main focus is trying to decentralize superposition to make it verifiable, to make it as trusted as possible. And we're actually researching a lot of ways to do it. We're researching maybe wrap superposition into some TEs kind of stuff, or maybe wrap it into some ZK proofs. Uh, yeah, but in the first version, we also did it on centralized, in order to easily find some MVP. Because I mean, you can take a look at the Hyperliquid. I mean, everybody knows that it's not really decentralized. I mean, there are very few validators. Yep, and you really don't care, about the decentralization if you can receive some great API or really great trading experience. And superposition is pretty same case. I mean, we did it centralized on the first version, but in the second, one of our main efforts, will be towards, making it more decentralized, more trustless.
Yeah, there's always that centralization aspect, right?
Basically, LPs are constantly fighting against some extremely sophisticated and extremely centralized entities like MEV bots, like solvers, like
Uh-huh.
aggregators. And, in order to, keep some, decent APIs, keep some decent
Uh,
fees, uh, probably you have to, accept some level of centralization, at least at the beginning,
mm.
Yep.
That's how we ended up with this CDFI, DCFI sort of situation, right?
Yep.
Well, okay. So looking ahead, let's go fast forward a few years with your crystal ball. What do you think DeFi trading actually looks like if ideas like barter and superposition really succeed? Do users still even think about DEX and SEX, or does the whole experience change into something completely different?
Yep, I'd say, you already can see it. I mean, for many users, there is almost no difference between, now between CFI and DeFi experience because you already have, a lot of, gas accounts in the wallets. You have gas swaps in, indexes like CowSwap. You have, a lot of chain abstraction. You have smart accounts by EAP 7702. Yep. And basically, all of DeFi activity is very concentrated, maybe in 2 or 3 chains. So, it's also, it's not bad because, it's removed, all of cross-chain tension, all of bridging and this kind of stuff. So I'd say it's already, DeFi is very competitive in terms of user experience with CFI. Yep. But um, with superposition, we yeah, we're trying to push it forward. I mean, looking towards the future, what we see with what we're trying to achieve with Superposition. I mean, it's pretty obviously it's pretty obvious that at least part of payments will be on chain. I mean, stablecoins will increase their adoption, and you'll be able to pay in your regular life with at least some stablecoins. And what we envision and actually trying to achieve is, let's imagine that Superposition will be integrated with some payment providers. I mean, if you still have some off-ramp provider, it can be off-ramp provider, and if some payments will be completely on chain, you even don't need this off-ramp provider. And what Superposition do is basically using asset agnostic behavior of the users. What I mean is that uh, most of the users don't really care about the symbol, about the letter before USD and after USD. It's all USD for users. I mean, USDC and USDT is extremely similar, especially in the short term. And let's say you'll be able, to maybe pay for your coffee in three stables, for example, USDC, USDT, and FNS dollar. And in this way, you're literally forgetting about about the fact that you can hold different stable coins in your wallet. So you'll just see some USD balance, and that's the perfect fit for Superposition, because you'll be able to pay with your wallet everywhere while earning some yield, based from stable to stable trading activity, maybe some other primitives like lending on some others. Yep. So that's what we trying to achieve long term.
Gotcha. Portals has got the execution infra for you. So
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean, yeah, we definitely have something to discuss. Yes.
yeah. Well, look, it's been amazing. This has been so intuitive, really technical. I love what you guys are doing. Obviously, we're huge fans. You're great users of our API. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been fantastic. We always end with one question, which every guest receives. It's a game. Don't worry if you get it wrong, because no one knows the answer yet. But this is it. This is it. Today, the total TVL of DeFi, as per DeFi Llama, is $116 billion. What's your prediction for this number at midnight on the 31st of December 2025? That's New Year's Eve. And while we're at it, let's go for this number in a year's time and New Year's Eve on 2026. Two numbers.
Yep. I mean, so can you remind me two other numbers? I mean, in the end from here and in the year
Oh,
from here,
it's
and
actually just increased by 2 billion in the last 2 hours. So it's 118 billion right now, the total TVL of DeFi as per DeFi Llama.
yep. So it's really interesting and kind of ambitious questions, because I think the answer can vary if you're looking into other domains of DeFi. For the next year, I envision that in some actually capital efficiency is increasing, have increased dramatically over the last few years. And to solve all stable to stable swaps on Ethereum, 50 million of TVL will be more than enough. So I would say the TVL in indexes and this kind of applications will decrease. But on the other hand, um, features like RWAs and some others will will bring a lot of new capital to crypto. You can already buy, let's say, tokenized Apple stock on CowSwap, by at least two providers. And yeah, this will go further. So I would say in 2026, we'll see maybe. That's an interesting question. Probably 1.5 hundreds of billion TVL. So 150,
So
150.
150 billion.
Yep, in 2026.
So on New Year's Eve of
Yep,
2026, so in
yep,
150 billion. Okay.
That's my prediction. I mean, of
Your
course, nobody
prediction.
knows.
And for
Yep.
this year, in 2 weeks' time, where are we going to end? We're 118 today. Where do you think we'll have on? What do you think we'll have on New Year's Eve?
Oh, I mean, market feels not so good today. So I'd say maybe 1 in 10 billion.
You actually win a very special prize, Alex, because no one has gone down. Everyone has been a permabull. So
I mean, I'm trying to be objective in any situation. In any situation.
I think it's very wise. It's a good little game. Anyway, look, Alex, thanks very much for joining us. It's been fantastic, and I can't wait to get this out.
Yep. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to speak here with you, Edward. And yeah, thank you for all of your listeners.
Awesome. Thank you very much. See ya.
Bye.